Her injury was severe, but her eyes said, "Please don't leave me." When stars bleed silver. The acrid smoke rising from the crater made Dr. Zara Nightwind's eyes water as she picked her way through the twisted debris. Her med scanner chirped frantically, detecting life signs somewhere in the wreckage of what had once been a sleek alien vessel. The ship's hull, now a twisted sculpture of molten metal and shattered crystal, told the story of a violent crash, landing on Zirion 7's unforgiving surface. "Command, this is Nightwind," she spoke into her comm unit, brushing sweat from her brow. "I've got one survivor reading on sensors, requesting immediate evac for wounded." Static crackled back at her. The ion storms that plagued this sector had been interfering with communications all week. She was on her own, just like always. A low moan echoed from beneath a section of collapsed bulkhead. Zara's training kicked in immediately, her hands already reaching for the plasma cutter on her belt. The metal was still warm to the touch, but not dangerously so. She worked quickly, carving away the debris with practiced efficiency. What she found underneath made her breath catch. The being was clearly not human, but achingly beautiful in ways that defied easy description. Tall and lithe, with luminescent, silver skin that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. Elaborate tattoos in deep blue spiraled up slender arms, and her hair was the color of starlight, white with threads of silver that actually seemed to glow. But it was the wings that truly marked her as alien. Magnificent appendages that stretched nearly 8 feet when fully extended, now crumpled and torn beneath the wreckage. And the blood. So much blood, but not the crimson Zara was used to. This blood shimmered like liquid mercury, pooling around devastating injuries that would have killed a human instantly. The alien's eyes fluttered open, eyes like twin galaxies, deep purple shot through with points of silver light. They focused on Zara with obvious effort, and her lips moved soundlessly. No words came, but the expression was unmistakable. A plea. "Easy there," Zara whispered, dropping to her knees beside the wounded being. "I'm a doctor. I'm going to help you." The alien tried to speak, producing sounds that were musical but incomprehensible. Her voice was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, even weakened by pain and blood loss. One delicate hand reached out, trembling, and Zara instinctively took it. The touch sent an unexpected jolt through her, not electric, but somehow deeper, as if their life forces had briefly touched. Zara's med scanner was going haywire, unable to properly read the alien's vital signs. Nothing in her training had prepared her for this. Human, Centaurian, even Rigelian physiology she could handle, but this being's internal systems were completely foreign. "Okay, think," she muttered to herself, running her hands carefully over the injured form. "Universal constants. Blood loss is blood loss. Broken bones are broken bones. Pain is pain." The alien, she decided to think of her as female based on the distinctly feminine features, had multiple compound fractures in her left wing. Several ribs were clearly broken, and there were deep lacerations across her torso that continued to seep that strange, shimmering blood. But the most serious injury was to her left leg, where a piece of metal had punctured clean through her thigh. As Zara began to examine the wound more closely, the alien's eyes suddenly went wide with what looked like terror. She began struggling weakly, trying to pull away from Zara's touch while making urgent sounds in her musical language. Hey, it's all right," Zara said softly, holding up her hands to show they were empty. "I know this is scary. I know you don't know me. But you're hurt badly, and I'm the only help you're going to get out here." The alien stared at her for a long moment, those galaxy eyes searching Zara's face. Then, slowly, she nodded and let her head fall back against the ground. The gesture was so achingly trusting that Zara felt her chest tighten with unexpected emotion. Working quickly, Zara began applying pressure to the worst of the bleeding wounds. The alien's blood felt warm against her gloved hands. But there was something else, a faint tingling sensation that seemed to travel up her arms. She tried to ignore it, focusing on the medical crisis at hand. The wound in the thigh was the immediate priority. The metal shard had to come out, but doing so could cause catastrophic bleeding. Zara prepped her coag field generator, hoping the technology would work on alien physiology. As she worked, she found herself talking, as much to calm herself as her patient. "You know, I've been a field medic for 8 years now," she said, carefully positioning the medical tools. "Seen all kinds of injuries, all kinds of people, but I've never treated anyone quite like you." She glanced up at those luminous eyes which were watching her intently. "You're remarkably calm for someone who just survived a ship crash. Most people would be screaming by now." The alien made a soft sound that might have been laughter, then winced as Zara began working on the embedded metal. Her hand shot out and grasped Zara's wrist with surprising strength. For a moment, Zara could have sworn she felt something, not words exactly, but meaning flowing between them. Gratitude, trust, and underneath it all a deep aching sadness. "I don't know what happened to you," Zara murmured, working to stabilize the leg wound. "Don't know why you were flying alone, or what brought you to this god-forsaken planet. But whatever it was, you're safe now. I won't let you die. That's a promise." The alien's grip on her wrist tightened, and again Zara felt that strange sensation of connection. This time, she was certain she sensed something like words. Thyra. A name. Thyra, Zara repeated softly, and was rewarded with a weak smile. "Beautiful name, I'm Zara." As she continued working, using every tool in her medical kit and improvising with materials salvaged from the wreckage, Zara found herself marveling at her patient's resilience. Thyra's biology was clearly more robust than human, but the injuries would still have been fatal without immediate intervention. The shimmering blood began to slow its flow as the coag field took effect, and Thyra's breathing became less labored. But as the immediate crisis passed, Zara became aware of other problems. The alien ship's wreckage was still smoldering, sending up a beacon of smoke that could be seen for miles. If Thyra had been fleeing someone or something, that smoke would draw them like a magnet. And Zara's own comm unit remained stubbornly silent. No word from command, no sign of rescue. They were alone on a hostile world, with a wounded alien whose people were complete unknowns, and no way to call for help. As night began to fall over Zerion 7's barren landscape, Zara found herself making a decision that would change both their lives forever. "Come on, Thyra," she said, carefully helping the injured being to sit up. "We can't stay here, can you move?" Thyra nodded weakly, those galaxy eyes meeting Zara's with determination that transcended language barriers. Together, they began the slow journey away from the wreckage into the uncertain darkness of an alien world. Behind them, the smoke continued to rise like a funeral pyre. Ahead lay only questions, danger, and the fragile hope that two beings from different worlds could somehow survive what neither could face alone. In the distance, the twin moons of Zerion 7 began to rise, casting everything in an ethereal silver, light that seemed to make Thyra's skin glow even brighter. Despite the pain etched in her features, despite the trauma of the crash and the uncertainty of their situation, she was still the most beautiful being Zara had ever seen. And as they disappeared into the alien night, neither of them noticed the distant lights beginning to appear on the horizon, lights that moved with purpose, searching for something lost among the stars. Silver blood, golden hearts. The pain had become Thyra's constant companion over the past 2 days, but it was nothing compared to the ache in her hearts, yes, hearts plural, as her kind possessed two, when she thought of what she had lost. As she lay in the makeshift shelter Zara had constructed from salvaged ship panels and emergency thermal blankets, she watched the human woman work tirelessly to keep her alive. Zara moved with a grace that reminded Thyra of the healing dancers from her homeworld of Solara Prime, those sacred performers who could mend souls with movement alone. But this small, determined human was mending something far more immediate and desperate: Thyra's broken body, piece by careful piece. "Your fever's finally breaking," Zara said softly, checking the bio readings on her modified scanner. She had somehow recalibrated the device to work with Thyra's alien physiology, a feat that spoke of brilliant improvisation. "How are you feeling?" Thyra had been practicing the human words, her vocal cords slowly adapting to the foreign sounds. Better, she managed, her accent turning the simple word into something musical. You saved life. We're not out of the woods yet, Zara replied, then paused, realizing the idiom might not translate. Not safe. Your people, they're still looking for you, aren't they? The question hung in the air between them like a blade. Thyra closed her galaxy-bright eyes, remembering the events that had led to her desperate flight from everything she had ever known. I was, how you say, betrothed. Thyra began slowly, each word carefully chosen. To High Commander Vextal, powerful warrior, cruel man. Her fingers unconsciously traced the faded bruises on her neck that even her accelerated. Healing couldn't completely erase. On Solara Prime, females who show, how you say, weakness, are cast out, made to serve. Zara's hand stilled on the medical equipment. Weakness? You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. Not physical strength, Thyra whispered. I refuse to execute prisoners, refuse to burn Colony World when ordered. My commander said I had soft heart, greatest shame for Solari warrior. Her voice broke slightly. He was to break me, make me proper soldier wife. The silence that followed was heavy with understanding. Zara reached out slowly, giving Thyra time to pull away if she wished, then gently took her hand. The contact sent that familiar warm tingle through both of them, a connection that seemed to transcend species. So you ran, Zara said simply. Stole fastest scout ship. Flew until fuel ran out. Thyra's laugh was bitter music. Ship was damaged in escape. Could not control landing. Lucky for me you crashed where you did, Zara said with a small smile. Otherwise I never would have met the most stubborn patient in the galaxy. Despite everything, Thyra found herself smiling back. Over the past 2 days, as Zara had worked to heal her injuries with a combination of human medical technology and what Thyra had been able to communicate about Solari physiology, something beautiful had grown between them. It wasn't just gratitude, though Thyra felt that in abundance. It was recognition, soul calling to soul across the vast divide of species and culture. Zara, Thyra said carefully, why you helped me? I am enemy. Solari and humans fight war for decades. Zara was quiet for a long moment, her fingers still intertwined with Thyra's. Because when I looked into your eyes that first day, I didn't see an enemy. I saw someone in pain who needed help. That's what I do. I heal people. All people. A distant rumble made them both freeze. Thyra's enhanced hearing picked up the sound first, the distinctive whine of Solari pursuit craft approaching fast. Her silver blood turned to ice in her veins. They found us, she whispered, struggling to sit up despite the protests from her, still healing injuries. Zara was already moving, grabbing supplies and shoving them into her field pack. Can you walk? I can fly, Thyra said grimly, testing her wings. The left one sent spikes of agony through her nervous system, but it would hold her weight. But not fast, not far. Then we go together, Zara said firmly. I'm not leaving you. No, Thyra's voice was sharp with panic. You do not understand. If they find you with me, they will think you spy, will torture, will kill. And if I leave you here, they'll take you back to that monster you were supposed to marry. Zara shouldered her pack and helped support Thyra as she stood. Not happening. We both get out of this, or neither of us does. The pursuit craft were close enough now that they could see their lights cutting through the pre-dawn darkness like seeking eyes. Thyra felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Someone willing to risk everything for her, asking nothing in return. There. Zara pointed to a ridge of rocks about half a mile away. Those formations will block their sensors. If we can reach them, we cannot outrun them, Thyra said, but she began moving anyway, leaning heavily on Zara's surprisingly strong frame. I slow you down, then we get creative. Zara pulled out her med scanner and began adjusting settings rapidly. Your people use biosignatures to track, right? What if we mask yours? Working as they walked, Zara jury-rigged a field generator that created an interference pattern around Thyra's unique alien physiology. It was brilliant, desperate improvisation that bought them precious minutes as the Solari craft overflew their position without detecting them. They reached the rock formations just as the twin suns of Xerion 7 began to rise, painting the alien landscape in shades of gold and crimson. Hidden in a cave between the stones, they finally allowed themselves to rest. "This will not work forever," Thyra said softly. "They will find us eventually." "Maybe," Zara agreed. "But maybe help will come first. My people will be looking for." "Me too." Thyra turned to study the human woman who had risked everything for a stranger. In the warm light of the sunrise, Zara looked almost ethereal herself, hair burnished gold, eyes bright with determination and compassion that seemed to shine from within. "Why?" Thyra asked again, but this time the question was different, deeper. Zara understood. "Because in 2 days you've shown me more courage and gentleness than most people show in a lifetime. Because you chose kindness over cruelty, even when it cost you everything. Because—" She paused, seeming to gather courage for what came next. "Because I think I'm falling in love with you." The words hung between them like a bridge spanning two worlds. Thyra felt her dual hearts racing in complex rhythm, and for the first time, since her escape, she felt something other than fear or pain. She felt hope. "On my world," Thyra said carefully, "love is considered weakness. But sitting here with you, I think perhaps my people are wrong about many things." Their hands found each other again, human and alien fingers intertwining as naturally as if they had been made for this moment. When their lips met, it was soft and tentative at first, then with growing certainty. The kiss tasted of possibilities, of new worlds to explore, of different kinds of strength, of two beings who had found in each other everything their own people said was forbidden. When they finally broke apart, the sound of approaching engines had faded into silence. On the horizon, a different kind of craft was approaching, sleek human vessels responding to Zara's emergency beacon. "New beginning?" Thyra asked softly. "New beginning," Zara confirmed, squeezing her hand. "Together." As the rescue ships descended toward their position, neither woman looked back toward the wreckage that had brought them together. Instead, they looked forward, toward a future that neither of their peoples had imagined, but which they would write together, one careful word at a time. In the distance, the Solari pursuit craft gave up their search and departed, leaving behind only the vast silence of an alien world that had witnessed the birth of something beautiful and impossible. Love that crossed the stars themselves, healing that went far deeper than flesh and bone, and the promise that even in a universe torn by war, two hearts could still choose peace.